Welcome everybody. Hello, how are you doing today?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Welcome to Sweet Tea with the Pastors. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. How's things going today?
All right, just a second. Philip's going to keep talking.
Yep, we're going to keep talking, and just to let you know, things are starting to roll and crank back up around here, and we're excited about that. And you're going to continue to hear about new things as the weeks come along, as we enter into summer. Your leadership team here at Louisville Baptist Church is working hard to get things. I'm tired of using these words like reopen, relaunch, restart, because I really honestly think all these things are going to be new starts, new launches, new. It's
going to be a new world, isn't it?
A new deal.
It's going to be a new thing. So I agree with that. Everything's going to be a little different, but it might be. All right, I'm going back.
All right, I'll keep.
Philip, talk about new things.
I'll keep talking about new things. So yeah, like in talking about like kids ministry, and we're not talking about relaunching kids ministry. We're not talking about restarting kids ministry. We're talking about launching a new kids ministry, new student ministry here at Louisville Baptist Church and with the community. And so, looking for new things and to do things in a the idea of thinking in a fresh start and in a new way. So I think we got it figured out maybe now. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Good. It was behind the scenes stuff, but if you want even more behind the scenes stuff, this is freshly made tea, but it's not sweet. All right, so just for you, unsweet tea. But I only had sugar up here, and I'm not doing sugar, so my sweetener's at home. So, hey, it's good to see you. Speaking of sweet, how was Mother's Day?
Mother's Day was a sweet day.
It was a sweet day.
We had a wonderful day here at church, and I pray everybody had a great, sweet day with mothers, thinking about your mother if your mother's not here anymore, if she's passed on. But I pray that it was a sweet day for everybody.
Yeah, I hope it was great. I hope your kids, did all the things for mom. Sometimes, I remember when the kids are younger, sometimes the work they do to make it easier for mom probably makes it harder for them in the long run, but it's that love of our kids trying to give back to our mom. So that's super special. Yeah.
We at our house we made a concrete thing for the kids to press their hands in, and then we wrote the date on it and stuff like that. And all the kids did was run off the trampoline and jump over and stick their hands down in that thing. I was the one over there scraping all the concrete and the thing doing all that, and I was like, I thought this was for the kids to do.
That's right.
But who knows what would have happened if I'd gave Carter a hoe and a wheelbarrow full of concrete. Who knows what would happen for Mother's Day?
Probably like slaves in the time of Moses, putting the straw in, mixing it up, getting it ready to go. But I know some moms that have copies of their kids' little handprints, so she'll appreciate that for years to come. And I think we had a dog once sneak into one of those too, so that's great. I love that. Any of those things that we can do to help that. But you mentioned, and switching gears really quickly. I know we had a lot of people that this Mother's Day was maybe their first Mother's Day without their mom, and it was stressful. And we just want to reach out to you and say, hey, we love you guys so much, and we're going to be kind of talking about not necessarily the mothers in particular, but in the next 3 weeks we're going to be doing a study on grief during our Sunday morning services, just talking about how grief is entered our life. All of us have experienced grief at some point in time, but I feel like the last year has been just accentuated that feeling of anxiety and grief, depression or whatever that goes along with it, and it really was highlighted to me how many people had stories of, I really miss my mom this Mother's Day more than any other.
Right. It's the past year's been tough, and we've all grieved losing something. A lot of us have lost our the ability to just go out and do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it, and our ability to breathe without something over our face.
Yeah, well, that's true. The Bible says we're supposed to carry one another's burdens,
right?
And I think that's maybe been the biggest struggle for people in the last year is that in our times of grieving, it's the people that are surrounding us that help us carry those burdens. And so if I'm struggling today, I know that I could come into the office and you're there to encourage me, to lift me up. And the same thing is true the other direction. Right. But when we're just isolated and there's that idea, well, if I come to you, I'm going to be afraid because other grief may compound on that. Well, then I'm not getting that comfort from being with each other. And so our Facebook question, and you can jump into that in just a second, but our Facebook question of the day is, how did you handle your anxiety and stress over the last year? And honestly, it's something that helps Philip and I as we figure out how we're supposed to minister to the people in the church, knowing, what are some of the ways that you successfully managed to handle your stress, or some things that you did, because there may be other people looking for clues and keys on how they can handle stuff. And so if you got a thought about that, and then I tried to write it in a positive way. What are some positive ways that you could help us do that? That would be just a real big encouragement, maybe to others that are looking for some of that. But how do you feel about that, managing that stress and anxiety?
It's a tough thing to do, and we were forced into handling that in like a moment's notice. As I've shared with you, like I remember March 13th of last year was the day that down here in North Carolina, a lot of things are based around what happens with basketball with our ACC schools. And that was the day that the ACC basketball tournament pulled the plug. And it was like, I think I told you the other day, I was like, we were like, what in the world is going on? Yeah. Things were just screeching hollow. And I don't know if those of y'all remember this, but March 15th, that Sunday, was the only Sunday that we missed through this COVID deal other than weather-related closures here.
Snow days happen.
Yeah, snow days happen, and snow days are fun, aren't they? They're wonderful. But that March 15th, because we didn't know what was going on, and it was just like, wow, what is happening? But we pivoted rather quickly to online and did that, and I shared with Pastor here not too long ago. I said sometime about August or September, I was having decision fatigue and opinion fatigue, and I think I did well handling my stress and anxiety. Probably my wife and kids would say I didn't do so well at it, but it's been a tough thing, and like I said, just all of a sudden having to pivot and this just piling on, and I don't know how you felt, but I thought we were going to be in this deal 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then we would be out of it and back to normal. Yeah. And I think it was the 1st of May, somewhere along there, I realized it's going to be long term.
It's stretching out. Yeah,
right.
It is going to be long term. And I think because of that, one of the things that we deal with is we, we're real good at dealing with the stuff that we can manage and handle and see. We talk about grief in a lot of ways. We can see that this is obviously a stressor point. We're going to work on it. But I guess over the past year, there's been a lot of not just visible but invisible points of distress in our lives, things that maybe people can't see outwardly. And that's one of the things that we're going to discuss in this grief study, is especially with like our young people. They've done really well physically with the COVID, according to all the CDC stuff, but emotionally, you look at suicide rates and depression rates and things like that, it's been devastating for young people. And so, a totally different thing we're dealing with, and trying to handle those invisible points of distress. And what are some ways that, I don't know, that you tried to handle some of those, maybe in your family or with your kids? Because, we all want to keep our kids calm. How do you handle those things that maybe aren't as visible to other people, but are there nonetheless?
Yeah, I'm a reader, and I upped my reading game in this. I took on more reading for pleasure, reading about anxiety and stress and how to manage that, reading for ministry purposes. I took on that as kind of my stress reliever and buster, so to speak, was to just do some more reading. So more blogs, following more people, because I'm a pretty independent guy and I'm busy all the time. But I found myself like, well, I'm going to follow this guy over here. Well, I'm going to follow, and all of a sudden I'm reading their posts and reading things of people that I would have never read before. Right. Yeah, a lot more of that. I did some more writing. We were up in Connecticut. We would write articles for the state convention, and so I found myself writing more articles. In the past, when they'd send a note, hey, we need an article, and I'd be like, well, I don't know if I can get one in. Now I'm like, well, I got 3 ready to go. Which one do you want? I did a lot more. Did a lot more of that as well. In reading these blogs and articles and things, though, I was amazed at how quickly people became experts on the whole situation. This is what you need to do now in your life. And I thought, we've never been through this as a generation or the previous generations. You think back to the flu epidemic that hit like nearly 100 years ago. I was like, there are not many people around who handled that today.
No. And it was handled quite differently than this was handled too. So even with that, it's not the same. I mean, you could go back to, some of the World War II time periods and stuff, looking at the way it disrupted society, and it just was something new and unique. And so it was a constant, like, moving target and a challenge. And for me, I tried to do some things that were normal with our family. I've told people, if you've ever watched any of our stuff, I came from a family that sits around a table and we play games together. Most of my family, from my parents and even probably my grandparents, are more introverted. We need kind of intimate times to recharge. And I remember sitting around a card table playing dominoes with my grandparents and playing World War II strategy games with my dad and playing card games with my kids. And so at some point in time, that was what we did. We're like, look, we need to do something that was normal to us, but an opportunity for us to kind of let some of that go. And so we played games. I took on our Google Drives that we use here at the church to pass things around. I made the board game on a Google Drive for one of the games that we played so that Ransom, our son in Oklahoma, could play with us. And so it was awful looking. It would be like making a Monopoly game, but just had a little rectangle. It was awful looking, but he could move pieces on his side and I could move pieces on our side, and we were zooming while we were playing this game. That's how, we just wanted to do something together. And so that was a, something that was real important for us.
Good deal. I mean, yeah, I'm ready to get past this and move on. It's just been a tough year, tough time. It's been, but I also think there's been a blessing in this time, and we've realized that family is important, more important than we take it on. That our church family is more important to us than we realized more than a year ago. And just our connections with other people, how important they are.
Yeah, and I think we realize now how much more interconnected all of us are. I mean, at one point in time, you're here, we're there, but hey, this has affected everybody. It's very nonpartisan. It comes at everybody, and if we in a community learn to handle it like that, we're all in this together sort of thing. It can be something that's very unifying for us, bringing us together. So that's sad stuff, and I know it's going to be sad the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk about, but we are going to talk about how out of our sadness, that's often where God produces growth in our life. I mentioned C.S. Lewis a couple weeks ago in a sermon, and one of our fine ladies in church brought me the movie Shadowlands, which was a biography of his life when he met his wife and he was older and she was a divorcee and had a kid already, and he married her primarily so that she could stay in England and not get deported, and ended up falling in love with her, and then she got cancer, and it just this tragedy. But kind of the theme throughout it is going through some of his lectures and series, and he talked all the time about it's through those tragedies, it's through those hardships that God knocks off the hard edges, and he makes the sculpture that he's looking for through those hard things. And it got me thinking about how that movie was so applicable to people's lives today, because he was going through this huge tragedy of only having just a short time with this woman that he loved, and how impactful it was, but how through that tragedy he learned and grew. And his book, A Grief Observed, is the book that I use when somebody is struggling with tragedy. I will go buy that book and give that, because it is so profound, because it's not a book that's like, clinically, here's what you should do, and here's 5 steps. It literally is a man grieving over the pages himself until he gets to the last chapter where he's like, but here's where I see the joy. Basically, the idea that if your heart's not broken, you didn't love.
Right.
And if you loved, your heart's going to break. It's just part of the bargain. And so it's a good thing when we struggle with some of that grief, because it reminds us that we loved fiercely, and that's why it hurt so much.
And grief is a part of life.
Yeah.
Everybody will experience it at some point in time.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I want to remind you, I know we've talked about some things over the last couple of weeks. Philip has been giving us updates every week about our Baptist Children's Home food drive, and we've wrapped that up. But like we said before, it doesn't mean Doesn't mean if you didn't bring stuff up, we wouldn't take it down to them. They could still use stuff.
Yeah, we're going to take it down tomorrow. So if you have something that you'd like to drop off, do so today or very early tomorrow morning. You can just put it under the portico and we'll grab it if you do that. But yeah, you can do that. You can also give monetarily. They really like monetary donations because all the things that we've given them are non-perishables, but the kids and the families do like to eat bananas and pineapples, and they like to grill hamburgers and things like that, so they can use your gift cards to grocery stores or just your monetary donations to buy those sort of things. So I'm looking forward to taking Pastor down there and kind of introducing him to Baptist Children's Home and that ministry, and he can kind of see a little bit. We're not going to be able to take a tour of the facility because of the COVID restrictions, but we'll be able to drop off our donations and he'll be able to see it and maybe meet a few people. But Baptist Children's Home is a great ministry that the North Carolina Baptists support here, and I'm anxious for you to get to know it a little bit better.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. We also have some things. I mean, we are getting to the process of trying to reimagine, like you said, not restart some of these programs, but get new things that are going to accomplish our next generation ministry. And so our women's ministry is getting together this Sunday evening.
Abundant Life Women's Ministry.
It's our Women on Mission. So if you're a WOM woman, if you've been doing that, if you've done any of our women's Bible study, they are getting together, and they're just this time they're getting together just to pray and to brainstorm and to just to enjoy each other. They're going to be in the fellowship hall. If you haven't been down to the fellowship hall in a while, it is set up with tables. It's distant. And we do deacons meetings and things down there, so there's plenty of space down there to be in a way that you're going to be comfortable and do that. But they're going to have a great meeting. It's up here on the wall, 5 o'clock next Sunday, and so you're going to want to be a part of that.
This Sunday,
5 o'clock this Sunday. Which is the next Sunday, but I understand. I'm getting there. So this Sunday. All right, so we're going to go to the Monster Truck Rally, but you all can go to the Women's on Mission.
We'll have a seat for you there, but you'll only need the edge of it.
That's right. but we've got a lot of our ladies, our Women on Missions leaders are going to be there. Kim is going to be taking a big part of that. And they're going to be looking at what they can do as far as missions, as far as discipleship and training for our women. And I know also in connection with what God is doing, not just here locally, but in the state and then nationally and around the world. And so Kim has so many connections with people that she went to college with, people that we have met while on mission ourselves. And she wants to help open our eyes to that broader vision of what God's doing out there. And so I think it's going to be a neat opportunity. We'll probably be sad we can't be a part of it, but we'll get together. We'll do some men's stuff too. So we're working on that.
Yeah, the men will get around and get to grunt and eat meat and
That's right.
do some stuff like that.
We're working on it. We're putting it on the calendar. We'll let you know next time we meet when that's going to be. So some other things, I'm looking at my cheat sheets around. Yeah. We're also, so we're recording this, we're doing it on Facebook, but I've had a couple people tell us, well, we haven't been able to see that because I'm not on Facebook. And I get that. I know some of you are not on Facebook. And so the church has opened up a YouTube page. Now, once again, if you're watching this on Facebook, I don't know if that's going to help me telling you that the church has opened up a YouTube page, but we're going to release this same video. So in just a little bit, it's recording right now, but we're doing this live here. And I'm going to upload it on the church's YouTube page. There's a few things there. I've been putting the stuff that we do every day, the prayer times, Louisville morning, I've been putting it on there. And I put a couple of these up there as well. We haven't been advertising it, so they're there, but nobody's on there. But when we post that on the Louisville Facebook page, you can click the link and it'll take you to the YouTube page. Right. And there's a couple things I want you to do when you go to the YouTube page, okay? I want you to click the subscribe button. So right now there's one subscriber, me. I haven't even gotten Kim on board to subscribe yet. But there's one subscriber. If you subscribe to it, anytime we post something on the YouTube page, it will alert you, let you know that something's happening there, and you can watch it. The advantage of YouTube is anybody that has a smart TV, a smartphone, an iPad, a computer of any kind, you can watch a YouTube video. So you don't have to have a Facebook account to watch the YouTube video. And so anybody can watch it. So my mom doesn't have a Facebook, but I can send her a link to a YouTube account, and she just clicks the link, and it'll play it because YouTube is on any of those devices. And so that's kind of the advantage of doing the YouTube page. And then it's also a place where we don't have to store those videos in a computer here at the church. They're stored online, and so it saves us space. We don't have to buy a super huge computer to store all that stuff. And so you could go back for, however much is posted there, which is just a couple weeks now, but you could go back and you could find old sermons that you liked before and watch them again and do that again. And so we're going to have that ready and available for you. It's already up and running. It's called Louisville Baptist with no space. Louisville Baptist. The problem is computers are smarter than you and me. So when you click submit, it's going to think, oh, you meant Louisville Space Baptist. And so it's going to put a space in between the two and be like, I helped you out. And you're going to end up at a Louisville Baptist in Manitoba, Canada.
Wow.
It's an amazing thing. You'll be in Canada and you'll see their church, but there'll be a little button that says, did you mean? And it'll show Louisville Baptist together. If you click that, you'll see a picture of our church pull up and
Great.
You can do it. But it's a lot easier if you just go there from the Facebook page. So if you click the thing from the Facebook page, it'll take you to our account. You won't go to Canada. If you want to go to Canada, it's probably great this time of year, but we want you here at this Louisville Baptist Church.
That's right. And not the one in Texas either. That's the one I get a lot too.
Not the one in Texas. I get a lot of that one too. But you can find that if you just click on that. So just look for it. If you like it, if we can actually get 100 subscribers, what Facebook will do is they'll actually give us our own Facebook name. So right now, it's got like lots of letters and numbers, IX10372, and that's us. We're not important enough. But if we ever get 100 people, so if everybody in the church subscribes to it with all of their accounts that they have, and we get to 100, then they'll say, oh, well, you're good enough to be at youtube.com/Louisville Baptist. Right. And so we would get our own name at it. And
that
so
would be cool.
it would be a lot easier for us to share that with people. Yeah, just go to youtube.com/Louisville Baptist and they can find us. So I encourage you, subscribe to it, and then send links to your friends that you know aren't on Facebook so that they can find it as well.
And quite honestly, if you have younger folks in your household, in your family, friends network, more younger people, millennials and those younger are doing YouTube more than they do Facebook. Once the older generations took over Facebook, they checked out and said, we don't want to be a part of that anymore. So YouTube is actually, I guess, about the king of the social media
it is right
empire.
Now. They say about 89% of people online use YouTube at least once a week, whereas Facebook is somewhere in the 60%. Those are the two biggest, but YouTube by far is the biggest of those.
Right. So especially the younger folks that you know of, push them towards YouTube.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good. Hey, do you have anything about youth camp up here?
Crossroads Youth Camp is coming up the end of June 29th through July 2nd. It's a camp up in Virginia. It's an adventure type camp. But it's just not adventure and fun and games. The key component is there's the gospel and sharing the gospel message with young folks and chaperones as well. I've been off with campers before, and chaperones have been more affected by their week at camp than the kids are, and so it's a great time for everybody. But the gospel will be presented, salvation will be shared with them, offered with everybody there, and it's a great opportunity. So sign up soon if you need some more information. Just give the church a phone call, 336-945. What is it, 3706?
I haven't been that
I just drew a blank on it. I
got my card on me somewhere.
But yeah, just give the shout out here to the church or drop an email to someone here at the church, and we can get you more information regarding that. But let us know soon whether you'd like to be a part of camp. And it's not a long camp. It's 4 days, 3 nights, so it's not even a full week. But just a couple hours from here up in Virginia.
Yeah. And we're doing the shorter one this time just because we're coming out of COVID. I know some people are nervous, and this way it gives them a camp experience, but it's not overloading. It's not super expensive, about half the cost of what it might be going to a full week camp.
Yeah, and a good thing about this camp is we won't be sleeping with a bunch of other people. We'll be sleeping with our own group, so we can control kind of that contact with other folks if that's an issue or something that might be bothering you. But we're looking forward to going off to Crossroads Youth Camp up in Virginia, June 29th through July 2nd.
Yeah, awesome. And Kim wanted me to remind everybody of one thing. On Wednesday nights, we're doing that all Bible study on Wednesday nights. we started it off last week and only got halfway through the study. So we're actually going to be doing part 2 of week 1 this coming Wednesday night. But Kim and Cambry have both agreed to watch any kids that might want to come. And so right now the weather was beautiful. They were out on the playground the other day and just brought some balls out and opened up the playground. We're on the playground. So we want to encourage you, if you've got some kids that want to come and be a part of that, eventually we're going to have youth group meeting, and youth group's going to be doing stuff on Wednesday night. But by then, I think that the church will be, we'll have robust other things going, and so we'll be staffing that with volunteers. But for now, without the youth group, Cambry wanted to volunteer to do something, and she loves working with those kids, and so somebody is here to work with those kids, to play with them, and just to do something nice with them while they're here. So we want to encourage you. Don't let that be a hindrance to you coming. Bring your kids or your grandkids, and if we get to have too many, we'll have to kick somebody out there and go help them. But Kim is out there, Cambry's out there, and they're loving on your kids. And then our all Bible study. I mean, we were talking about loving God with all your heart, and we only got through half of it. Talking about how important communication with God is, that prayer time we have with God. And this week coming up, we're going to be talking about praise, how important worship is. That does so much for our heart. I think about Mother's Day this week and how important Mother's Day is, because we just dote on our mothers and love on our mothers, and you can see that expression on their faces. You can hear it in their voices, knowing that they're being loved on. Well, that's what we should be about. Our Heavenly Father. We should be loving on God, adoring Him, and we do that through our praise and our worship of God. And it is vital. I mean, you may not be a singer person, but it doesn't just mean singing. It means adoring God, and we should be doing that.
Yeah, I don't adore God much with my voice. It's kind of rough. So yeah, it's kind of tough. But I do want to mention one thing about Wednesday night and having the kids here. My little one, Jackson, my little curly head, redheaded boy, he wanted to come back to church Thursday with me when I came to the office, because he thought Kimberly and Cambry were going to be here. He had so much fun. So yeah, I told him, I said, no, Cambry has to go to school and Kimberly has to do different things, but he wanted to come back Thursday morning with me to the office.
Well, that's awesome. I love it. I love it when any of them are around.
We've got Tate and Rubik's cubes.
Tate and Rubik's cubes.
Tate's going to be bringing his Rubik's cubes up. When we talk about things that got us through the COVID, he has more Rubik's cubes than you can imagine, and he did a whole video on it trying to teach people how to do it.
Well, the Rubik's Cube thing at our house is funny because I can't solve them for anything. I've even tried these tutorials online, and I just get confused because I have to go back and forth and watch. And these guys online, these ladies online that can do it, they start off slow, but it's like then they get ultra fast. And I'm like, well, you just left me way behind after that second move. But the way we solve those Rubik's Cubes at home is Carter hands it to me and says, can you solve it for red? Can you solve it for blue? And so I twist it around and give it back to him. So usually at night he'll say, can you solve it for green? And I'll take it and then put it back on his dresser at night, so when he wakes up in the morning it's done. So
he's going to be a pro after Wednesday night.
But I want to share with you guys one thing with kids ministry that you can do. I don't know if you can see on my phone there. It says 2:52. That's 2:52 in the afternoon. Pastor does 2:52 in the morning. But at 2:52, if you folks will set the alarm on your phone and every day pray for kids ministry. Mine says pray for kid men every day at 2:52. The reason we do at 2:52 is because Luke chapter 2 verse 52 says that Jesus grew in stature, wisdom, and in favor with men. And that's what we hope for with our little guys and girls here at Louisville Baptist Church, that they will grow in faith and in stature and in favor with Jesus and with men, and do some great things for the kingdom. So that's why I invite you at 2:52. Set an alarm so you won't forget it. And you might think, oh, I'll forget it. You'll forget. So set your alarm to ring and do a funny, different ringtone so you know that it's something different. You just don't hit the snooze button. You'll check it out and look at it. And just pray for kid men. It doesn't have to be this long, drawn-out prayer. Like most days, my prayer is just this. Lord Jesus, give us influence with kids and families so that we can impact families and kids for the kingdom and for Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's a real simple prayer. A lot of times I might be in the car at that time, so I can't close my eyes and fold my hands. So it's just something that I share there at the stoplight.
You don't have faith? Come on.
Let go of the wheel and go.
Jesus, take the wheel. That's a song, isn't it?
So I invite you to do that. And, I ask everybody who was interested in kids men just exploding around here, if you want kids ministry to explode at Louisville Baptist Church and the church here, the local church of Louisville Baptist Church, impact families and kids in the school, then it's going to start with prayer. We won't do it without praying. And so if you are serious about impacting kids and families, then you'll set your alarm for 2:52 and start praying.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Well, we just appreciate the time that you guys are spending with us. Make sure you like and share this so other people know what's going on. Leave us that comment. Tell us those positive things that you were able to do to help you handle the stresses of the year that went by, and maybe we can explore some of those together. I know a guy that picked up marathon running, and at the beginning of it, but if you had started like day one on lockdown and the only thing you could do is get out by yourself and go run, you probably could do a marathon by the end of this thing. And
lots of people picked up new hobbies, and bread making was a big deal and stuff like that. So share those things, and if you've got great recipes,
I make a homemade pizza dough, and we couldn't make it for 6 months because I could not find yeast. I'm like, there is no yeast. And Kim kept telling me, what do you mean there's no? I was like, there's no yeast. So, and then we realized, it's the bread making thing. Everybody was buying.
Everybody was making sourdough bread.
You brought up bad feelings now.
I'm sorry.
I'm now remembering 6 months without homemade pizza. But
my homemade pizza is Pizza Hut or Domino's or something like that. So.
Well, God bless you all. Thank you so much for coming. We look forward to seeing you next time with the pastors with our sweet tea. If you're drinking your sweet tea, you can always take a selfie and stick it in the thing down below. We'd like to see your sweet tea. Philip does have stuff in there. I know he keeps.
I'm not faking it. I'm really drinking it.
So it's good. But we will see you guys soon. Hopefully you'll be here tomorrow morning when we do Louisville Mornings again, and then Wednesday night for our Bible study. See you then. God
Take
bless
care.
you.